Yay! It's the Paris Pookup Show, finally online. Sorry about the technical issues. I hope you guys can hear me. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, my computer just locked on, but hey, it's a live show, and that's the way things go. But here I am. It is Inauguration Day 2021, and I'm not excited. I'm actually majorly disappointed, that kind of thing. But I'm even more disappointed in seeing how many people are like throwing in the towel, and that kind of ticks me off. Whoops, got an angle issue with my camera here. Okay, sorry about that. But I'm beyond frustrated. People that are just giving up, entirely giving up. And if you do that, you're destroying everything President Trump fought for over the past 4+ years. He was a new kind of politician with an incredible success record. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But we have a situation here where if we give up, if we cede everything, America as we know it will cease to exist. This is how I believe. I don't think this is hyperbole. I think this is going to change. They officially have federal power right now. They have full control by the slimmest of margins in both houses. Enough to do damage, don't get me wrong. But they do so at their own political peril. But also, we've got a president who's calling for unity, and that should all make us feel warm and fuzzy. We unite together because, okay, I'm full of crap. I don't believe it for 1 second if Joe Biden means a single word of it. Or he might. He's been around the block a few times. But I don't think any of the other Democrats believe in that. Frankly, I don't feel some Republicans believe in that. And I agree. In a perfect world, we should all coalesce. The election's over, move on. Let's all be Americans and move forward to business of America. And that would be great in a perfect world. But you know the Democrats will not do that. They didn't do it last time around. How many of us have been fighting to defend President Trump, and now we're targeted because we defended President Trump? Look what he endured when he was in office. And I believe, this sounds like it's, someone gave me all kinds of crap today because I posted something today talking about this. Basically saying, here, I'll read it. I'll read it verbatim. Let me get to my Facebook page here because, am I my profile? Here we go. I don't like the new Facebook layout. It just bugs me, although it's probably not new anymore. But anyway, because I got a lot of people, I'm ashamed of my country. We elected horrible people and all that. And I said, I will never say I'm ashamed of my country. Clearly, Joe Biden did win under those suspicious circumstances. They were very suspicious. And at the very least, the Democrats were able to stack the deck and skirted the constitutions that allowed themselves to win. And quite frankly, the Republicans let it happen. The Republican rank and file leadership throughout the country in various states, including here in Wisconsin. But it saddens me more than anything to hear Trump supporters saying they're ashamed. Yeah, I'm sad I lost. I'm sad Trump lost. Trump lost, therefore I lost, in my opinion. but I'm not going to give up on America or the American dream. America is still an idea. And regardless whether the Democrats cheated or not, the assumption is they did, but it ultimately wasn't proven in a court of law or in the process. But there's also a bunch of squishy Republicans that joined the Democrats in preventing a single investigation other than a few symbolic ones here and there. Like the state of Wisconsin had a symbolic hearing for the good of the show. Robin Voss, your days as speaker are numbered. I hope you get caught in a scandal and then you're forced to resign. That would be awesome. But I'm hoping the Republican rank and file gets tired of him. He's been in the leadership forever. And we still were unable to get things done like real solid voter election reform, voter ID. They neglected the schools because, some lobbyists from UW or whatever. Yeah, we got some things done. I'll give you credit for that. And we kept the Democrats out of power, so I'll give you credit for that. But the reality is we're still a tax hell in the state of Wisconsin. I don't care that you saved me $150 of my property taxes. That doesn't do diddly. We still have Common Core in our schools. We still spend more per capita per student than most states, and we get nothing for it on schools. But anyway, I'm digressing. But regardless, because of Democrats and those squishy Republicans, not a single piece of evidence was actually seen in court, mainly on procedural issues. Thank you, Brian Hagedorn. And let's be honest, there was real evidence and solid evidence that the conditions for cheating were possible, if not likely. So because of that, we may never know the truth. And you would think the Democrats would have wanted us to confirm Biden's win. Now, his win, regardless, is going to be tainted. But that, regardless, I'm standing proud with America and proud as an American. I'm not ashamed of America. Because America is an idea. It's bigger than whoever's ass is sitting there in the chair in the Oval Office for however long. Yeah, I'm going to rant tonight. The United States has always been and it still remains the beacon of hope around the world. President Trump saw that. Yeah, he was firm with some of our leaders in other countries. Got NATO to start paying its fair share, mainly the NATO nations. Cut the balls off the United Nations a little bit, but unfortunately, Biden's going to bring all that back. We've had our own dark times. Slavery, discrimination against former slaves, discrimination against immigrants. And I'm talking immigrants from not just African or Hispanic nations or Asian nations, but also from Ireland, from Greece, and all these other European nations as well. Many foreigners were discriminated against throughout our history. I'm not proud of it. It just is part of history, but we've always been able to rise above it. So I'm telling you, we'll overcome Biden's folly. We overcame Obama. Remember, Obama had 2 solid years of 100% Democrat control. Yes, he got Obamacare passed and did a hell of a lot of executive orders. But for the most part, the damage was minimized. Yes, the Democrats weren't as ideological as they are now. But I curtailed that argument by saying the Democrats weren't as openly ideological. I think they've always been this ideological, but they've just been kind of keeping it out. Now they're up and out in the open, thanks to the AOC types and the, dare I say it, Kamala Harris types. So at this point, regardless of how Biden won, and it is questionable that he actually won, and there's some legitimate questions, because let's be honest, they never proved 100% that he did win, but the Electoral College went through its process. The House and the Senate declared him the victor. And in the end, like it or not, President Trump followed the laws. He could have gone the other direction. He chose not to for whatever reason. That's up to him. Some people say that Trump threw us under the bus. I refuse to say that, but there's only so much one man can do. Look at all the people that turned their bags on him. When the going got tough, they went out and underneath and cowered. Our very own Republicans. And I'm calling him out again. Robin Voss didn't do a goddamn thing in this state to fix the elections. We knew the issues back in February, March, when the presidential primary happened and the Supreme Court election happened. We knew the mail-in ballots were a problem then, and the indefinitely confined. Robin Voss didn't do a damn thing. So the issue is not the fact that Trump lost according to the process and everything, whatever the process is. Once again, the courts never saw the evidence. But the issue is that Trump was put in a position to lose. President Trump did his job. He worked this in a way that he earned the votes of an additional 11 to 12 million people. That's on paper. Unofficially, he probably got close to 20 million more people, I would argue. But once again, does Joe Biden mean this about unifying? I personally think he doesn't. I don't think they give a crap about the official total of 75 million people that voted for Donald Trump. Look what he talked about in his acceptance speech that was just nauseating to sit through. There were some things in there that I agreed with. Yes, we got to unify and all that stuff. But both sides have to play this game. So going after the Keystone Pipeline, which is going to cost thousands of jobs as he cancels those contracts. Burying our country into more and more debts as he gives out more and more handouts to organizations like the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. If they're struggling, fine, let them fail. They got millions of dollars in the last stimulus package back in, April of last year? Millions of dollars, and they still laid off their entire staff. Where did that money go? It went to Democrat campaigns. Yes, the Republicans won in the House and Senate. I mean, the Senate was close. They got it. They basically get it because of the technicality of the VP being the tiebreaker. That's how they won it. But the House of Representatives almost flipped in a year that was supposed to be a Democrat year. So we have a very good chance of recapturing the House and Senate in 2 years from now. However, the only reason we're in this position is because of Donald Trump, because he got so many more millions of votes. People voted Republican that wouldn't normally vote Republican. And now we have Republicans out there openly saying we need to step away from President Trump. Oh, yeah, that nightmare is over, blah, blah, blah. You better learn how to embrace Trump. Because out of that 75 million, I'd say at least 70 million, if not more, are still very solidly behind what Trump represented. Whether or not they like the guy. There are times when his mannerisms piss me off. But man, when the guy was presidential, he was indeed presidential. He could knock your socks off. Go back and watch that speech that he gave at Mount Rushmore, which is probably going to be erased from the history books because now they consider Mount Rushmore racist. So let me go to some of your comments. I'm going to go in here, read. Well, I think we can recapture the House and Senate mainly because they can't focus on they can't focus on so many races all at once. I think we'll be able to see through it. And now people are going to be much more in tune with it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just an optimist. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and, speculate on anything right now because I'm just frustrated. A number of people that are saying it's done. Why bother voting now? We're not going to do it. Well, we don't have a choice. But in the meantime, we've got to fight our asses off so we can get these voting systems changed. It's not the fact that they cheated. It's the fact that they were in a position to cheat. And like I said from the very beginning of my show, they were in a position to cheat because the Republican rank and file let them do it. I'm sorry, but they let them do it. McConnell can go pound sand. The one silver lining in all of this, McConnell's no longer in charge. We got to get his ass out of leadership now. He did a good job with judges. I'll give him that. Or did he? I don't know. Trump was given a list of judges. So, we he appointed those judges. He doesn't know who they are. He didn't know who they all were. There were 300, close to 300 of them, or 200 of them, however many there were. And there we go. Yep. Trump spent his first day in office with the American people rather than the establishment, and last day in office. Yeah, he went there. He didn't go. And some people say, well, Mike Pence was there. Mike Pence is a professional politician. Of course, he was in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. Am I mad at him? No, he's just playing politics. I'm still not going to say that Mike Pence was a turncoat or anything like that. I think he did all he had the power to do. I had a major struggle with I had a major struggle with the fact that I didn't want to set the precedent that any vice president could just say, "Oh, I disagree with the votes. My guy won." That's just not. It was a dangerous precedent. I think what he could have done, and I still wish he had. Hey, let's take a pause for 10 days and see what comes of these investigations. That's all. But quite frankly, those investigations should have happened back in November. I think even if we did the investigations, those voting machines, I guarantee they had plenty of time to clean them off or do whatever they needed to do to get the evidence out of there. We would have not found the evidence. So, yeah, Darlene, honestly, I normally would agree with you in a normal year. It usually is the libertarians that play spoiler. But you know what? I don't agree with you this year. It's not the libertarians. It's the Never Trumpers. There were over 1 million Never Trumpers nationwide. That was more than enough to turn the election. And the Never Trumpers helped the Democrats. Do you understand that? Mitt Romney helped get Biden in office. The Lincoln Project, Republicans helped Joe Biden get into office. Charlie Sykes helped Joe Biden get into office. So, but yeah, I know, Tracy, you're agreeing. And politically, you're right. Pence is done. He perceptively didn't fight the way he should have fought. So he is not going to win an election. But I am consistent, and you can go all the way back. I was never thrilled with the choice of Mike Pence. I'm not a Mike Pence fan, never was. Personally, I think he's too evangelical for my taste. I don't know that and quite honestly, I don't know if someone like him would be able to win a national election in any time. So, yeah, I mean, I know, Tracy, you're agreeing with Darlene. Libertarians, yeah, they screwed us. They always screw us because, principles. I get that. But this time around, they should have been irrelevant. And they most likely were, because remember, Joe Biden only won by a few thousand votes in most states that he needed to win. That wasn't because of libertarians. Because even if libertarians had 0 votes, I guarantee Biden would have still won those states. They would have had what they needed to win. But if we don't do something about these voting issues, now, was that Nick said it? Someone said it. We will never win another national election. Once again, it's not the fact that they cheated. We gave them the opportunity to cheat. Let's see. Why blame the libertarians? Are the Republicans so weak they can't stand up? Well, and that's part of it. Because these libertarians are they're so stuck on principle that they literally accomplish nothing. That's a problem. So you're going to vote that allows the other guy to win because of your principles? Allowing the guy who's going to do the least libertarian things in history to win when you could have gotten some libertarian things with President Trump. Is Ron Johnson running for re-election? I don't know. He's not doing any fundraising, and he also said he was only going to be in for 2 terms, and he might be making his way out of the Senate. So hopefully, yeah, screw their principles. Yeah, I agree. Screw their principles, because you know what? They're going to stay principled, but they're going to be principled all the way into the breadline. And there's cheating Republicans too. Yeah, I agree. Yes, the Republicans were a third party at one time. But I'm really, really fed up with the Republicans right now, with the Republican leadership, the ones that are going to try to come back and take the Republican Party back to where it was before Trump. That would be suicide for the Republican Party as it stands. If they embrace and continue what Trump brought to the table, this populism, which proved that it worked, reaching out to people who wouldn't normally vote Republican. The so-called Reagan Democrats, the blue-collar conservatives who sometimes vote for Democrats. The black community. Trump doubled his black vote. Probably even more. But we won't know because of the cheating. He almost got the 50% with the Hispanic vote around the country. All huge numbers. But when you look at when you look at the Libertarian Party, their numbers are usually significant enough to offset an average political candidate in the Republican Party. And I'm talking average, enough to keep them from winning the presidency because they take away just a little bit of votes, enough to have it happen. Kind of like Ralph Nader did to Al Gore and the Democrats back in 2000. If it wasn't for Ralph Nader, Al Gore would have been elected. Well, it wasn't for the fact that Al Gore couldn't even win his own state, he would have been elected. Florida wouldn't have mattered. Aha. Darlene, funny you should say that. We need to move forward with Trump's base or we are stupid. Trump's base is 70-some million strong. And 70-some million is more than enough to make a viable and victorious third party. We're talking enough to win several electoral votes and possibly even a couple hundred electoral votes. Enough to put it into a constitutional crisis or enough to win the 270. Yes, this new America First Party or whatever it's going to be called. But as of right now, until a Republican who is worthy of me supporting them in the presidency, because right now all the names that have been mentioned, save one, I'm not ready to support. Or maybe two. Ted Cruz is one of them. I would support him. Back in 2016, I struggled with him. I liked his ideals, but he reminded me too much of an evangelical preacher. He just did. And I see he changed. I don't question his patriotism, extremely intelligent, and he has the balls to fight. And there's one more, and that's Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota. Incredibly articulate, can give a great speech. She's beautiful, so she's got that going for her. A woman, obviously, that helps. And she's not afraid to fight. And she has bigger balls than most men in the Republican Party. And everyone else, I'm telling you right now, the party's scrambling for its identity and the leadership is fighting in back end. The Never Trumpers are trying to get back into good graces so they can get into power so all their consultants can make all their money. We saw that in Wisconsin. People literally made millions in the Scott Walker loss in 2018. Millions. It doesn't matter to them if the candidate wins or loses. People made millions consulting during this last election with where Dan Kelly was beaten in the Supreme Court race. And Dan Kelly is arguably the best judge we had on that court. And I love Rebecca Bradley. I think she's awesome. But Dan Kelly, well, they're both awesome. They're both smart. They're both good conservatives and that kind of thing. God only knows what happened to Hagedorn. Ben Carson is a nice guy, does not have that sizzle. We need someone who's going to fight, get down in the trenches. Okay, maybe you can say somebody be a little more statesman-like than President Trump was, because President Trump, his mannerism and everything worked for him. I didn't think I was going to talk that long tonight. So there's a lot of that. But, they're going to try to push Jeb Bush on us. I know it. I guarantee Jeb Bush is going to come out of the woodwork. Paul Ryan is coming out of the woodwork. My hope for Paul Ryan is that he's making so much money as a consultant and stabbing other Republicans out in the back that he will leave the presidential race alone. But he definitely wouldn't get my support. Yeah, I had a fun post today on Facebook. I posted my triggering post of the day, and all it said was Trump 2024. I think right now, my candidate for 2024, as of right now, is Donald Trump. Until one comes along to earn my vote. Once one turns around and earns my vote, then maybe, because I think Trump's going to run? Probably not. Why would he put himself through that again? I don't blame the guy. And, some people are saying, oh, Trump screwed us. He stopped fighting. He quit on us and all that stuff. You know what? The dude's been fighting for 4.5, 5 years for us. I have never seen a president fight for the American people like he has. And yes, that he may have been harsh on Democrat leaders, but he was always embracing Democrats to come over too. It was all about America for him. Incredibly patriotic, double down on America. And those of you who said he quit on us, I'm sorry. I dare you to endure what he endured for 5 straight years. I dare you. And he said straight out he would fight every legal option. And he did do that. In the end, the courts screwed us because they were too big of cowards to look at the evidence. That's all we wanted. Look at the evidence. And if they said that it was, not enough to overturn the election. But I'm telling you, it's next to impossible to challenge votes after they've been cast. No court in our history has ever thrown out thousands and if not tens of thousands of casted ballots, whether they were fake or not. What you need to do is stop the cheating before it happens by having safeguards, voter ID. Some people are talking about this blockchain electronic security that's unhackable. Who knows? But that's where we have to fix the problems. We need to just go back to paper ballots, period. We need to go back to one election day. And you know what? I'll even be nice. Okay, let's do it on 2 election days. Fine. Whatever. And we need to get away from these central counting locations. They need to have the counting done in each precinct. So that way you can have people watching the counts in their own precinct. And quite frankly, we need to play the rules. We need to play the hand we're dealt. For the past 2-3 years, I've been hearing all the bitching about ballot harvesting. The Democrats ballot harvesting. It's illegal. They ballot harvest. Well, you know what? No one stopped them. So what do we need to do? We need to ballot harvest. We need to ballot harvest like a mother, And this is the pièce de la résistance. Thank you, Nick. I talked to him in French, even though we're Greek, but that's okay. See, this is King Nick. You got to look at his picture. He's got the beard going on. He's got his blonde princess. I guess is she the wench? Yes. Okay. You're royalty. I must bow down to you, Sir Nicholas. I love the picture. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, we have to do this on a state-by-state basis. The states are where we have to make our stand. And we need to start running conservatives under the Democrat banner. in primaries and stuff. If for nothing else, they could hear a different point of view. They'll do everything they can to stop us. But I'm not so young that I don't remember, I was there on the tail end of these conservative Democrats, Zell Miller and the like. I don't care. I'm so sick of that excuse. Election reform is screwed and Evers will veto everything. Let him veto it. Let him veto it. We need to start calling him to the carpet. The Republicans haven't sent him shit. The only thing we sent him was we handed him $500 million in new school spending, and he marked it up to $580 million or whatever. That's what he vetoed. He hasn't vetoed diddly. The Republicans in this state are feckless. Not all of them. There's a few that are willing to fight, but when you have Robin Vos literally kicking the fighters off of committees because they dare speak their mind. Robin Vos runs the state assembly like Nancy Pelosi runs the House of Representatives. You cross her one little bit, you're going to be doing nothing but picking up dog shit in the Capitol lawn. So the fact is, we got to go after Republican leadership in this state. Robin Vos cannot be Speaker of the Assembly anymore. Yep. Send him to the... Yeah, exactly. Hilaria, you've got it. Yeah, so... Well, we're going back to the other blockchain. Now you're making me look stupid, Ed. I don't know what that is. Okay, but I've been in a rant tonight. I mean, this is crazy. I'm sorry, but I just Biden talking about America's got to come together. I'm telling you, this is what they mean. America's got to comply with what they want. That's America coming together. It's never, okay, we embrace our differences and we still get along, get some things done. And, may not be perfect, but everybody benefits. It's not like that. And frankly, that's what Donald Trump did. How much togetherness did the Democrats offer during Donald Trump's reign as president? I think the only thing we got from the Democrats was signing the NAFTA replacement, USMCA. And that was only because they had to, because they knew it would kill them politically. Excuse me, very dry in here today. So, yeah, it's interesting. Who knows what's going to happen? But now the Democrats, ironically, are talking about opening up the country. We got to open up. We got to open up. But just a few weeks ago, it's not safe to open up, so we can't even go vote in person. We got to vote by mail. What a bunch of hypocrites. But we better do it. I was in New York City yesterday. Flew in the morning, flew back at night. And I was going to take some video and stuff like that, but I was just heartbroken. And I was just dealing with some other things I had to take care of while I was there. But it was heartbreaking looking at New York City. New York City is this amazing city. I don't care, Democrat, Republican, whoever runs the city, whatever. It doesn't matter. New York City is an amazing city. Big, surreal buildings jutting out of the ground. Used to be so much life. You have to walk through crowds of people all over the place. I'm walking through downtown New York City, and I'm running into basically nobody. Boarded up windows, graffiti, like more so than usual. And now New York City is basically a like Tracy says, it's a bleep hole. It's a shithole. Oh well, I'm not gonna go that far. I had fun in New York. I love it. I love the theater district. Entertainment there is second to none. It's always been a blast to be around. I enjoyed it, and just watching this was heartbreaking. This is happening all around the country, and it just bothers the heck out of me. I don't know. It was sad. So anyway, I came home, but I've been reflecting on that. New York City is, oh, I don't know. Just don't give up on America. But we need also. There's a lot of people out there that are openly calling for civil war. Now, first of all, that's going to get you in trouble. But second of all, do we really want a full, as one of my friends called, a full kinetic civil war? It's a dangerous position to be in when people start talking like that because, oops, I had to change my lighting a little bit, but because I had an uncle who worked for the State Department. Yeah. I hope you're wrong, Ed. Ed says New York City is dead. And it might be. I think it might be beyond repair. No, the government will just send. Wisconsin's going to be sending New York a lot of money to bail them out. Let's put it that way. Well, hopefully they'll get another mayor like Mayor Giuliani. But anyway, I'm talking about big cities, civil war in the country. People don't understand the gravity of that. Hilario, you could probably attest to this. Hilario likes to reenact civil wars, do civil war reenactments, civil war battle reenactments, and what have you. The Civil War was, for lack of a better word, there was a lot more etiquette, as it were. Mainly there was out in fields and farm fields, and you had the battle lines going in against each other and stuff like that, and then going after buildings and whatever. But if civil war were to break out today, and I mentioned my uncle worked for the State Department during the Carter years, he always referred to the city of Beirut as it was originally referred to as the Riviera of the Middle East. And he had been there before all the strife and everything. Absolutely beautiful city, along the Mediterranean, stuff like that. And it was just amazing city out there. And then Civil War broke out. And Civil War has been there for decades. This is not something that's going to be over in 5 years like the American Civil War of the 1800s. Which I hope we don't have to start calling it Civil War I. We're going to be talking decades of people dying in the streets, chaos. And right now, unless something extraordinary happens, where all of a sudden we find a bunch of hidden ballots and the Supreme Court overturns an election, which is not likely going to happen. I know the Q talks about stuff. I'm still waiting for the power outage. And what's the other thing? Oh, JFK Jr. I'm waiting for him to announce that he's still alive. But Joe Biden is president now. God, I hope if civil war breaks in this country, I mean, there's rumors of the Chinese going to be invading us and stuff like that. I guarantee the Chinese will invade the United States if civil war breaks out in this country. I don't know if the Russians will do it, but you never know. We're not beyond political solutions to this, but we have to bust our butts to do it. And I'll leave you with this. I actually had an article that was written in Wisconsin on WisconsinRightNow.com. And it was here. Let me pull it up. I'm getting a bunch of ads right now. Gotta love ads. Let's go share my screen. Little self-promotion, but it was nice. WisconsinRightNow.com. I also have shared my article on Conservative Digest and on ParisProkopis.com. But go to Wisconsin Right Now. I called it Our Dangerous Turning Point. I wrote this a couple of days ago because I think we are at that crossroads. And I wrote, don't let extremists control our future. And then we got a bunch of pictures of shoes here. That's because I'm always doing soul searching. Yeah, get it? I'm here all week. Soul searching. Get it? Shoes have souls. Okay, sorry. That was bad. But I say we're at a dangerous watershed moment in American history at this time. And people need to focus. Our nation will perish into the trash heap of history. We need to focus, or our nation will perish into the trash heap of history. Sorry, I can't even read my own writing, so to speak. At this point, most of the nearly 75 million Trump supporters feel that we've had something like they have had something taken from them. They also feel blamed for a riot that almost all of them didn't attend, and frightened by the new era of censorship it has ushered in. Joe Biden talked about this today and is stated in his acceptance or his inaugural speech. They're going after what they call white supremacy. You dare say America first or anything like that, you're going to be labeled a white supremacist. We're all part of the human family. Nope, white supremacists. Things like that. It's going to be what they say it is. That's the dangerous precedent they're setting. But anyway, since November 3rd, there's been mounting evidence of irregularities in almost all the swing states. Everything from statistical anomalies that all benefited Joe Biden to sworn affidavits from hundreds of witnesses reporting problems in the major Democrat cities. Unfortunately, all of this has landed on deaf ears. Most of the evidence was never seen in any court due to technicalities of standing, etc. On top of that, the mainstream media has basically refused to cover any of the allegations. They really have. They've avoided it. They made everybody look out to be a crackpot. After nearly 5 years of constant fabricated scandal and fake impeachment, this has left President Trump supporters both angry and frustrated. Fast forward to the Trump rally in D.C., the frustration seemed to hit a tipping point when rally attendees breached the perimeter of the U.S. Capitol and entered the building. I absolutely condemn this action, and I do. I condemn it. I think this set back Trump's legacy by horrible amounts because of this, and this had nothing to do with Trump. Trump did not start this. While there were rumors that it was Antifa protesters dressed in Trump gear who instigated the incursion, it is largely uncorroborated and doesn't really matter who breached first. It really doesn't. The fact is, unfortunately, there were actual Trump supporters who seemed to get caught up in the moment and followed like lemmings. According to arrest records, we know that many were fringe Trump supporters who were QAnon followers. Let me be clear, there were tens of thousands of people who were at the rally. These QAnon types only represent a tiny fraction and do not represent the average Trump supporter. The overwhelming majority of Trump supporters are patriots. The ones who stormed are clearly not patriots. And I'm telling you this, no American patriot would desecrate our national monuments like that. They just won't. Nonetheless, using the riot as an excuse, we have had most of the large tech giants like Apple, Amazon, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube banning conservative thought and eliminating conservative social media apps from their platforms. Yes, conservatives have been forced to create their own economy and platforms. In my opinion, this is modern day book burning. The leftist tech giants have forced platforms like Parler off the internet. And Parler's not back yet. They're kind of back, but they're really not. You can't post on there or anything yet. It's only a matter of time before we have our generation's version of the Red Scare. Just like the communist blacklist of the McCarthy era. And if you don't know what that is, go look it up. There could end up being a blacklist of Trump supporters. And yours truly is probably going to be on it. Hyperbolic? Well, we already have people getting doxxed, losing their jobs, or having their businesses boycotted. If some on the left, like AOC, have their way, it will get a lot worse. Clearly, these actions have built and fueled anger even more. Now there are over 20,000, and at the time I wrote this, there were 20,000. Now there were like 26,000 guard troops at the National Mall because of more threats of violence and destruction before the inauguration on the 20th. And I'm telling you, those threats of violence were bullcrap. So anyway, let's be real. No true conservative patriot would desecrate our national monuments or beat up cops. There was a cop that was killed, beat to death, and that guy was arrested, and they need to throw the book at him. I don't care what he believes in. After seeing several flyers, memes, and emails going around calling for armed protests at the inauguration, I can only conclude that this seems to have Antifa written all over it. Do I think it'll be all Antifa people? No. Given the emotional state of many Trump supporters, coupled with Democrats' second sham impeachment last week of President Trump and all the social banning, I say there's a chance that many will give into anger and show up armed. I'm glad they didn't. It was largely peaceful. It was peaceful today. A lot more peaceful than it was in 2016 when you had fires and riots and everything in Washington, D.C. when Trump was inaugurated, or lest we forget. Anyway, I just said don't give him an excuse. I understand anger and frustration. I'm angry too. However, I'm not going to push our republic further onto the brink. I know there are many who feel we were beyond a political solution. And this is where I get into talking about civil war. But ask yourselves this. Do you want our cities to look like Beirut? If millions of people take to the streets and become violent, we will become a nation of guerrilla warriors, and our country is essentially finished. There will be no turning back. This is going to be a thing, oh, the conservatives just win. No, it's not going. There will be no turning back. I swear to you, we aren't finished. We need to get back into the political fight. And I've been talking about this my whole show. Those who say we cannot rely on politicians for this fight, what the hell do you think a constitutional republic is? If we start taking matters into our own hands, we're no longer a constitutional republic. As conservatives, we have seen many Republicans cower like wet noodles. It's time to start primarying them or take their power altogether and form a 70 million plus strong third party. I'm dead serious about this. I was not, I kept saying this is not the time for this. We got to make sure Trump runs re-election. I even said that back a few years ago with Mitt Romney. Now, Mitt Romney's case, the libertarians were the factor. This year, the cheating was more of a factor than the libertarians were. Because even if the libertarian, for every 20,000 votes Republicans would gain, Biden would gain 25,000. It's just the way it was. There was no way that Trump was going to win this election if everything were clean. If everything were not, if they didn't cheat. Let's put it that way. So there are political options here. Remember how bad things were when President Obama had 100% of the government. Look at the successes that we had in the Tea Party early on. We could do it again, only better and quicker. There may come a day when we may be left with no further options, but this is not that day. We aren't there yet. We can win this fight. I'm telling you, it's possible. But we need to get rid of all those limp-wristed noodles that are trying to run the party. Soyan, say something about me. Okay. What do you want me to say about you? I don't know who you are. Soyan Osman. I don't know who you are. So anyway, he's saying Antifa did it. I think Antifa probably started it, but I'm telling you, there were Trump supporters in the Capitol inside. I guarantee there were Trump supporters that went in there. I'd say most of them were fringe. Yep, Tracy, absolutely. It's important. Even the ones we don't like. Yeah, the My Pillow guy. Yep, I'm not shopping at Kohl's anymore. I'm paying off my Kohl's charge, and once I'm done paying it off, I don't have that much on it. I think I have like $300 on there or something like that. I will not be shopping at Kohl's anymore. That's a choice I'm making. They have a right to do this, but they're, go woke, go broke. Well, I'm going to help them go broke. I don't give a crap who the My Pillow guy believes in. I don't care if he was out there shilling for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris herself. The My Pillow guy is an American success story. His life is tattered and in shambles when he was addicted to heroin or cocaine. Basically on the streets type of situation here, destitute. And he managed to get his life clean. He found God, whatever got him through this. And now he's a multimillionaire because he created this pillow. It's supposed to be really comfortable. I don't have one. You know what? I'm buying one. I'm going to just buy it from his website, mypillow.com. Go look it up. Even if you don't support him politically, you got to support the fact that he was able to pull his life from the pit and not look back. But this cancel culture has got to be stopped. So jokingly today, I said, so when are we supposed to report to camp to undergo deprogramming and reconciliation and re-education? I'm being halfway facetious with it. I don't think it'll happen, but it's not too far from the truth because we're having this cleansing. People trying to get Fox News off the air. CNN is openly promoting, we got to get these outlets. Everybody has all these extra outlets to get their information. They should only be getting their outlets from us, their information from us. No, that will not stand. Trust me, my friends, we have more power than they realize. We have more power than you realize. And President Trump gave a very pragmatic speech today when, his final speech as president. Very humble, very thankful. His speech last night became very, his kind of final speech. I long for the days where the presidents give speeches from the Oval Office behind a desk. I just like that. It's more doing it. Now, Trump gave one or two speeches that way. I think Obama gave one sitting on the desk and stuff like that. For some reason, I just like the optics of the president giving a speech in the Oval Office. I just do. It's a minor thing. Does it really matter ultimately? No. But I just like it. I wish he gave that speech because I still remember Reagan's farewell address. And President Trump had many successes. And we'll talk about those in a moment here. But I don't know. He just had all these successes. He brokered 4, now 5 Middle East peace accords. Took over 71 years of political intervention, and he did it in less than 4. the first president since Eisenhower to not get us into a new war. In fact, we were on the brink of war with Iran, and he pulled back when Iran knocked down one of our drones. Obviously, the economy, bringing jobs, lowering unemployment, and especially lowering Black and Latino unemployment and female unemployment more than any other president. He exposed all the corruption between the FBI, CIA, NSA. He exposed it. Was he able to ultimately do anything about it? Unfortunately, no. My two disappointments are he did not pardon Snowden, and he did not pardon Assange. And I think there might be more to that than we know. He did turn our relationship around with the Chinese initially, and maybe that's why they unleashed the Wuhan virus. Did get 3 Supreme Court picks. The jury's still out on them, pardon the pun. Kavanaugh and Gorsuch have been like 60-40. The notorious ACB is batting 0 right now because she only had one real ruling, and that was to not look at the Texas case because of standing, but I'm not going to pass judgment yet. It's too soon. Obviously, tax cuts and all that. Rebuilt our military significantly. Joe Biden's inheriting one hell of a military right now. I don't know what he's going to do with it. I hope that obviously there's uncovered widespread pedophilia. We got what's his name who didn't hang himself. He worked for free for all those years. And I still look back, what's Joe Biden done in 47 years? I mean, literally, President Trump worked for free. And not only did he work for no salary, it was costing him money to do this job with his custom companies and stuff like that. And they're going after him and his family. He gave up a lot because he believes in America, and he gave up a lot because he believes in you as Americans. But I say to all President Trump's successes, and I say this directly to President Trump, not that he watches my podcast, but you never know. Thank you for all you did for us. And thank you for all you're going to be continuing to do for us, because I don't think he's going anywhere. I think there's more to come from Trump at this point. But regardless, in just one term, we had amazing successes. Amazing successes. And all in all, to quote Ronald Reagan, not bad. Not bad at all. This is Paris Prokopis signing off. Talk to you again soon. Bye.